Okay, for this problem, we want to look at these two graphs, and what they're saying is they're two graphs of the exact same information. They're just making their class widths different. So this one goes from 10 to 40, 40 to 70. This one goes from 20 to 50, 50 to 80. So they're just split up differently. So when you're trying to visualize for any questions they ask, sometimes it does help to draw them or just draw some little number line to get the idea. Because we can really figure out a lot from this. Like, let's say if there's only, this one says there's only one person who's above 140. And here there are 4 people who are above 130. So let's say if I put another category for above 140, that means that if there's 4 people here and one of them is above 140, is automatically above 130, then 3 of them must be between 130 and 140. Otherwise they'd be in this group. So sometimes if you draw that, it's a little easier to see. So let's see in 22 what they asked about. So how many Major League Baseball, how many teams in the Major League Baseball had a payroll of less than 100 million? Okay, so do we have to use that deductive reasoning in this one? Well, this one already has one that ends at 100. So it looks like anybody in this category, or this category is below 100 million. And so we really just need to add up how many people or teams were in that category. So this is one team is from 10 to 40, so that's below 100. And then there's 10 teams, and then this one is 9. So 1 plus 10 plus 9, so it looks like there's 20 teams that are below 100 million. So I can get that just off this graph. Okay, when they start asking for categories that aren't already labeled on the graph, that's where I might want to take both of them into effect. So this one says, if they tell you that the team with the lowest payroll, and they give you their exact payroll, so 22 million-ish, determine the number of teams with a payroll between 40 and 50 million. So we want to know if we had one that went from, so which ones have a payroll between 40 and 50? Okay, so if we look here, there's a 10 to 40, a 40 to 70 category, there's a 20 to 50. So the 20 to 50 is kind of our closest one, but it includes too much stuff, right? It goes all the way down to people including 20 million. We only want to know between 40 and 50. So let's draw out what they have here for a second. So there's one that goes from 10 to 40. So there's one that goes from 10, I'll call this, to 40. And then there's one that goes from 20 to 50. Okay, so they're telling us that between 20 and 50, there's 4 teams. Okay, so notice that all by itself, I can't figure out how many people there are from 40 to 50, because 20 to 50, it could be maybe all 4 teams are in this, between 20 and 40, or all 4 teams are over here. You don't really know. But then if we take the information from the other piece of this, the other graph, that there's only one team from 10 to 40. So from here to here, there's only one team in that whole area. Well then, since they told us this specific information here, the Florida Marlins have a payroll of 22 million, they must be that one team, right? Because that would put them right here-ish at 22, and they're between 10 and 40. Why is that important? Because if they're that one team that's being counted here, that tells you between 10 and 40 there's no other teams. So then when I look at this one that says, well, between 20 and 50 there's 4 teams, if there's none between 10 and 40, then I know all the rest of them in here must be between 40 and 50. So if I want to know how many are between 40 and 50, of these 4, I already know this one's down here, so not between 40 and 50. But since that's only one team on this other bar graph, it tells me there's no one else between 10 to 40. So the other 3 remaining teams must be between 40 and 50. So it's like you can explain that, but I do think it helps to draw it out and you can see what they're talking about. So 3 teams have a payroll between 40 and 50 million.